Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Out and Equal Global Webinar Series with a focus today on Mexico. My name is Steve Roth, and I'm the Director of Global Initiatives here at Out and Equal. We're very excited to have you join us today, and a really excellent, esteemed group of panelists. I just want to introduce and recognize a couple of my colleagues who are managing this call with me today. Daniel Lawrence Smith, who is our Director of Training, and Isabel Porras, who is our Associate Director of Research. So thank you both, and glad to have you. We have four excellent speakers who I'm going to introduce to you shortly. I just want to remind you that this is a broadcast audio call from 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific time. You'll want to use the speakers or headsets on your computer. Turn the volume up loud so you can hear us. If you have any questions or issues, there is a chat box in the corner, and you can chat in your questions if there are technical questions or questions about the presentation. And we also will be showing some polls. This is an interactive webinar, so you'll have a chance to respond to the polls, and we encourage you to do that. Again, if you're having any problems signing in, just go to www.readytalk.com. Click on Join a Meeting, and then use our access code, which is 694-6521. And we are recording this, and the recording will be available, as will the presentation after the webinar. So we're excited to have you with us. We're going to do some announcements, but first we have our first poll question. We'd like to know, we know that we have an international audience on this call. In what country do you live and work? So go ahead and answer that, and we'll take a look and see what the results are looking like here. This is great. Looks like we have a good mix of participants from all over. Right now we're at about 60% from the U.S., between 25 and 30% are dialing in from Mexico or work in Mexico, and another 11% from outside the U.S. So we'll wait. Great, we already have over 100 responses. Give people a few more seconds to respond here. Great. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on now. We've got a lot to cover. Want to share a few announcements with you first. This is a bi-monthly series. We do these webinars, our global series webinar, every other month. Our next call is going to be May 10th at 8:30 a.m., and it's going to be perspectives on LGBT workplace equality in India. July 12th, our focus country will be Canada. In September 13th, we'll be back in Latin America with a focus on Colombia, and on November 8th, we will have a webinar on Singapore. So hope you can make those as well. And we also have our regular town call series. On March 21st, we have our core training program, which is Building Bridges to LGBT Cultural Competency 101. That one is a fee-for-service. It's from 11 to 12 Pacific time, and then our monthly free town call, which on March 30th is going to be covering self-ID, which is obviously a particularly important and sometimes challenging concept for those in global markets. So check back for those. More information on our website under the Learn tab, and we also have our executive forum is coming up at the end of this month, March 27th to 29th in San Francisco. It's a gathering of about 200 senior executives from all over the world. We do have some globally focused speakers and panelists, including a former openly gay U.S. ambassador and the new SOGI advisor at the World Bank, so we're excited for that. We are having our Eastern Europe Forum that we're offering in conjunction with the Pride Business Forum in Prague on June 16th, and our Equality Institute in London on July 6th. So just a few international events. And then, of course, many of you know about our signature event, which is our Workplace Summit. This year we'll be in Philadelphia, October 9th to 12th. I just want to put a plug in and mention that the first day, October 9th, we will have our Global Leadership Day, which is a full day of topics and issues, global LGBT issues. So we really encourage you to think about that if you can make it. Want to get into the meat of our webinar today, which is our presenters. Before that, though, we have just one more poll to give us an idea of where your companies are. We want to know, does your company operate in Mexico? Either yes, you're headquartered there, you have a branch or division, no, you outsource services, or no, you don't know. A couple different options there. And let's see what it's looking like. So yeah, so it looks like over 50% of people on the call, your companies have a branch or division in Mexico, which is great. About 6% of your companies have it as a separate entity. 6% of the people on the call work for companies headquartered in Mexico. That's great. So obviously, a lot of people with a lot of interest in Mexico on the call here. So we're glad to have you, and thank you for responding to that poll. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We have, as I've said, we've got some great panelists on this call, and I'm just going to read their names at the moment, and then right before each one speaks, I'll introduce them in a little more detail. We have Horacio Horta, Luigi Forestieri, Luis Silva, and ALBERTO PINO. So we're very excited to have all of you, and without further ado, we're going to jump right in, and let me introduce our first speaker, who is Horacio Horta. Horacio is the coordinator of the International LGBT Business Forum at LGBT Confex, which is an organization that's dedicated to advancing inclusive business in Mexico and throughout Latin America. And Horacio has worked with LGBT Confex since their inception in 2011. Again, we're very excited to have you, so thank you very much, Horacio, and take it away.
Thank you very much, Steve, for that introduction, and hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to this webinar powered by AT&T. Well, as Steve said, I work with LGBT Confex. It's an organization based in Mexico. We work by doing and organizing an annual event once a year, and that is the International Business and Tourism Forum. And let's start with our first slide. Let's take a quick overview of Mexico. What some general data about Mexico. Mexico is the country with a population of 112 million people. It is expected to be 120 for 2020. So it's a lot of people living in this country. In an area of almost 2 million square kilometers, and our capital is Mexico City. Our gross domestic product is estimated in 1.2 trillion. That makes Mexico the economy number 15 in the world, and that will be the second largest economy in Latin America. Mexico is a member of the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA. And let's talk a little bit about political system. It was unified in 1857, and after our independence, then it's unified until 1867 when it became a republic, a federal republic. With our first constitution in 1917, we became what Mexico it is today, the United States of Mexico. So because we are a federal republic, it is the power it is divided with three different powers. The first one is the executive with our president. The current president is Enrique Peña Nieto. And then we have the legislature, with bicameral Congress of the Union. We have a lower and an upper house with the Senate and also with the Chamber of Deputies. And then we also have the judicial power with the Supreme Court of the Union, with the Supreme Court of Justice. And that is, I think it's very important for us to know this because for our civil rights, for our laws, these three powers they need to agree to take one law into. Okay, so. About the civil rights in Mexico, we have divorce since 1914, and abortion is only legal in Mexico City since 2007. Same-sex civil unions are legal since 2009, and LGBT discrimination is illegal since 2009. About religion, 89% of people in Mexico are Catholic. Okay, let's move on to the next part. Okay, so here I put a timeline with specific dates of important legislations we've been having according to these topics. It started in 1871 when were legalized during French occupation and during acceptance lacked protection against open homosexual displays. Then our current status since 2001. Article 1 of the Constitution of Mexico was amended to prohibit discrimination based on, among other factors, sexual orientation. And then, in December 21st, 2009, the Legislative Assembly of the Federal District reformed the Civil Code to allow marriage between people of the same sex and the adoption of minors. And then, in 2010, the Supreme Court of Justice of the nation resolves that the reforms made by the Legislative Assembly of the Federal District that allow marriage between persons of the same sex and the adoption of minors by them are valid. That means that first it was only in Mexico City because it's our capital, and then in 2010 it is valid in the whole country. And then in 2014, the concept has never been illegal in Mexico, but in times of the colony by Spain, sodomy was grave felony. Okay, now I have some data of legal. For example, we have the right to change legal gender. It's legal since March 13, 2003. And then same-sex marriage in Mexico, it's legal since December 21st, 2009, but it's also recognized in 31 states. Several states, including Oaxaca, Yucatan, and Chihuahua, have now performed same-sex marriages via judicial proceedings court order. This happened because in our Constitution, it doesn't say exactly that marriage needs to be women with a man. So people started to take protection. They started to get married in different states, saying that it's not illegal to do it because it doesn't say it has to be a man and woman. It can be you can do it if you're a man and a man as well, same-sex marriage. About LGBT discrimination, it is illegal since April 29, 2003. The National Council to Prevent Discrimination takes action to ensure equality for all citizens. This includes promoting new policies and resolving complaints of allegedly discriminatory acts. About same-sex adoption, It's legal since December 21st, 2009, and joint adoption legal in Mexico City 2010 and the state of Coahuila. Single gay persons may adopt nationwide. So because each state has its own constitution, that's why it is different in each one. So it is, we have our first, okay, let me go to the, okay, now we have a poll question.
Yep. So and this is Steve here, just jumping in. Thanks, Horacio. The poll is: did your company extend same-sex partner, domestic partner benefits to its employees in Mexico before the country began recognizing civil unions? And there you see the different options, and we can see where we're at right now. Wow. So over 20%, almost a quarter of companies did start offering those benefits even before it was the law in Mexico. So interesting to see companies ahead of the curve. And Horacio, I'll turn it back to you. I just want to let you know we have about you have about 3 minutes left. If you could just kind of start wrapping it up a little.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Steve. So let's go to the next slide and some data about discrimination. And okay, I want to go to the slide number 15 and just to show you a map of about LGBT discrimination. And as you can see in green, it is illegal, and in blue, it's illegal in some contexts, and in red, it is legal to discriminate. And then quickly, the National Council to Prevent Discrimination and the Mexico City's Council to Prevent and Banish Discrimination are entities that were created by the government to promote public policies in order to contribute to cultural and social development. And, well, there is one great project here in Mexico. It's called Pride Connection, and they are a group of inclusive companies, and they get together, they gather to share, strengthen, and foment better practice in working areas. Also to create an inclusive working environment. Several companies here in Mexico are listed in this group, and they're working very much to create better practices. And just to finish, I'm going to talk a little bit more about what LGBT Confex is. We are an organization focused on creating a dialogue to promote and strengthen the economic, sociocultural, and humanitarian empowerment in alternative spaces of high quality in business, training, and information for LGBT market in Mexico and Latin America. Through the congregation of enterprises, institutions, and organizations with principles and activities in behalf of the generation of related strategies. LGBT Confex explores the first needs and tastes of the LGBT market that allow stakeholders, including government, business, society, entrepreneurs, and all those inclusive people in this segment to work together in seeking integral solutions to the main issues that afflict this important sector in the country, not just on economic issues, but in all fields. And, well, we've been doing this since 2011. The first event was held at Puerto Vallarta. Then next year was held in Cancun, 2012. It was named the International Expo on Business LGBT Mexico. For the third year, it was held in Guadalajara, and it was, by that time, we had 5 platforms, including tourism, technology, media, corporate, and entrepreneurs. And for the 4th year, it was held at Puerto Vallarta for the second time. In 2015, it was held in Mérida, Yucatan. For that time, we already had fashion and film platform as well. And last year, it was held in Mexico City for the first time, and we're going to keep it in Mexico City for this year as well. And we're also having the first International Business and Tourism Forum at Colombia in May, from May 26 to 27. Thank you very much all for hearing this, and I'll give you the word to Steve.
Great. Thank you very much, Horacio. Appreciate it. We're just going to keep things moving in the interest of time. I do want to remind our participants, if you have any questions for our presenters, please send them in and we'll answer questions at the end. Our next speaker is Luigi Forestieri, who is the Marketing Director for Intel's Mexico operations, where he's responsible for the company's brand campaigns and focus on building its visibility in the marketplace and driving sales. And Luigi is also the 2017 chair of Intel's LGBT ERG in Mexico. Welcome, Luigi. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Hello, everyone, and thank you for giving us your time and attending this session. I'll briefly go over a little bit of history of Mexico. I know you've probably seen some of it from Horacio before, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what Mexico is today and what it can offer. Moving through the foils, oh, there they are. And so Mexico, if you haven't visited, you can actually have 3 of the different areas or the eras of Mexico in one city. And the city where I live in, and you know, it is our largest city in the country, has the 3 times where, you know, Mexican civilization has lived in, which is pre-Hispanic. If you drive an hour away from Mexico City, you can see the pyramids of Teotihuacan, which are the most visited pyramids in the Americas. Then you have a castle. This is one of the only cities that I know, aside from France, that have a castle inside the city, and it's the time of the French domination of Mexico. And finally, Mexico today, or Mexico City itself, is a very modern city. You can find, you know, small places, big places, lots to do, lots to see, and that provides a lot of diversity and a lot of different, you know, flavors to what you can find in Mexico as you go through the country, as you visit different cities. You have cities like Guadalajara and Monterrey, which are also second and third largest city in the country. But you can also go look at smaller cities in the southern piece of Mexico or in the northern border of Mexico as well. And so Intel has a very established presence in Mexico. And one of the things I would like to show you is how the culture in Mexico, and specifically the pre-Hispanic cultures in Mexico, share diversity as well. You're looking at pictures of the Zapotec culture in the state of Oaxaca, and you're actually looking at a third gender called mushes. And mushes are actually men, as you can see, that dress up as women, and they're accepted by the Oaxacan culture in Mexico. This goes back to pre-Columbian times. They are respected. They perform festivals. They're actually part of everyday life. And so what I wanted to show you, this is that diversity in Mexico is rooted into the culture even before the Spanish came and discovered the Americas and so on and so forth. And so as Intel is based in Mexico in 2 cities, one is Guadalajara, where we have our Innovation and Validation Center, which is our largest operation in the country. And our second office is here in Mexico City, where we have our sales and marketing teams. We created an employee resource group last year. As you know, or you probably have heard of, our resource group is called iGlobe. And basically, it's a charter launched by our CEO in order to continue to drive a diverse and an inclusive environment with the goal that by now in 2020, we need to make sure that we evolve and drive future growth across the technology ecosystem. And as Intel is a big player there as well, we want to make sure that we are part of that strategy. And so very briefly, you know, we want to make sure that we achieve full workforce representation for everyone who works at the company, no matter your credo, no matter your sexual orientation, and no matter what you want to do in your personal life. That's very well accepted, and we want to make sure that you are included and respected for that. It also serves as a pipeline growth for diverse talent. We have more and more people coming into the company, more and more folks looking at Intel as an employer. So we want to make sure that that is covered and that we have that talent and it is attracted to Intel as well. We're looking to improve our diversity in our supply chain. So working with diverse supply chain partners that actually have diverse strategies within their own companies. So we're working on that as well. That's not I wouldn't call it a completed job, but we're on the right path. We want to make sure that we are investing in diverse entrepreneurs and that we also drive inclusion in a smart, connected world. Everything related to gaming, social media, etc. And so what we did last year is that we launched a global campaign, and it's called the Allies campaign, where you basically told people that if they wanted to become allies of Intel and the iGlobe Employee Resource Group, that they could wear a badge to show their support. So as you can see, the campaign reached countries in the Americas, countries in Europe, countries in the Middle East, and even China and Vietnam. And in each of these specific countries, a small group of folks went ahead and started distributing these badges, which we wear with our employee badge. And basically, it is a visible sign to those inside of the company that they respect their coworkers regardless of their gender identity and sexual orientation. It creates a visible rainbow halo around the Intel logo, and so you can pretty much see it everywhere you're walking around, and people know that you're an ally. And in case you need any help, or you need someone to talk to, or just you want to meet someone new in the company as you are walking around the hallways, it's also a good way to meet other people. And so why did we create that campaign? Well, first of all, we wanted to introduce it to all the sites that wanted to join. Of course, it creates a lot of publicity. It creates a lot of awareness and sensitization from tops down and bottoms up. So, the CEO would speak about it, the CMO would speak about it, but at the site level in each of the countries that participated, we also had smaller events where people would walk in and try to understand, hey, what's happening? Why are you guys doing this? And it really had a positive impact, for example, in our Mexico site. We launched the ERG about a year ago, and so a lot of folks didn't really know that we had a specific group of folks that was making sure that whoever was either self-ID'd or was in the process of coming out, or whatever decisions they were making in their personal lives, it was supported and it was included within our Mexico Guadalajara site and our Mexico City office. It even permeated to other smaller satellite offices in Miami, Brazil, which is also a big operation, and we were able to launch that impact and have that impact grow within the Mexico operations. So just to get to closer and to give the other presenters time, how did we reinforce this campaign? We did a lot of presentations on site. Our Guadalajara site has over 1,600 employees, so it is a big operation. We also started working a lot with IBM, and we started working with Straight Allies as a business imperative. So how do you turn your ERG into a business resource group, and how this becomes something that the company sees more of a business opportunity, a talent pipeline opportunity, as I mentioned in the beginning, and also looking at reverse mentoring campaigns to educate higher ranked leadership and management about LGBT and how they could work, with their employees in case they had an employee that was coming out or was part of the group and that needed support in the case that they choose to do that. So as you can see, there's opportunities for everyone. We were looking at different challenges, but if we look at the balance, there's a lot more rewards than just the challenges that we face every day related to time zones, related to workloads, related to schedules, talking to different people in different sites. But if you look at the balance, we have over 4,000 new allies in 1 year, and we want to continue doing this in 2017. We have a lot more outreach. People now recognize us across all the sites. Senior leaders provided quotes. They participated actively, and it's recognized as the top 2 best ERG programs within Intel. So we have a series of ERG programs, but this is recognized as one of the top 2 in driving that inclusion into the workforce. What we'll do in 2017 is we want to use the GDC platform, and you can look at our building there in Guadalajara, and if you're around Guadalajara or if you are living in Guadalajara, this is what you will see in the building. We're looking to continue to drive talent development using our site as a pioneer in diversity. We want to make sure that people understand what we do at the site. So there's a lot of innovation happening with the ecosystem, with the Internet of Things, with the data center. And also, we support a lot of the things that happen within Intel in sales and marketing. As you can see, I've also shown the Pride Connection logo and the companies. We're working with them to see how we can participate as well. But the main idea for 17 is to reach out broader, just outside of our Mexico walls, and start working with other teams to continue to help the ecosystem and society in general to be more diverse and inclusive, whether it is with our internal programs or in the activities that we participate broadly. And I think that was it for me. So I'll give it back to you, Steve. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Luigi. That was excellent and impressive, and great to see the over 4,000 allies that you have already. That's really amazing. So congratulations. Next, I would like to introduce Luis Silva. Luis has been with AT&T and Bell South for nearly 20 years through a variety of different positions, both in the U.S. and in Mexico. And today he heads up all human resources for AT&T Mexico, where he's responsible for enterprise-wide operations support. Thank you so much, and welcome, Luis.
Well, Steve, thank you very much. Can everybody hear me, hopefully? How is everybody doing? Actually, thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to be here with you all. It's very important for us to start talking a little bit about Mexico. And I know Horacio and Luigi have given us great backgrounds on Mexico and how it looks down here. One of the things I'd like to mention that we found, AT&T has been in Mexico for the past 2 years. And it is very clear that the laws in Mexico are way more advanced than the culture we see. So in AT&T, we're trying to drive that culture and make LGBT employees as important and effective as the need for that diverse group. And we want to promote that diversity for equal treatment of all our collaborators, right, or our team members, right? One of the key things is in Mexico, we have the same initiatives that we have in the U.S. today. So we're taking advantage of what we've learned throughout the years in order to make sure that we have an inclusive, diverse environment. And this is not only about LGBT, it's about people, right? We want to look the same way that our customers look outside, right? We are serving a community in Mexico that is very diverse. And inside our company, we need to look exactly the same way as we look outside, right? So that is one of the huge efforts that we have. We ensure that diversity with our global partners or our business partners is at the top of every conversation. So we share and we promote this, right? One of the things that we're really going after is this whole concept of tolerance, right? People don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm tolerated at work, right? It would be very sad if I had to go home and just share with my family that, I love the place where I work because I'm tolerated, right? We love the place where we work because it's inclusive and I feel a part of that place, not because they tolerate me. So we're eliminating that concept of tolerance because we think it's a cop-out, right? So we're working really hard in making and building this environment. And in the just 2 years that we've been here in Mexico, we've been recognized by COPRED, which is the Council to Prevent and Eliminate Discrimination in Mexico City, as well. And it's all based on our good practices and what we're doing. And we've also received the award from Gilberto Rincon Gallardo, from the Labor Secretary at Mexico, for being an inclusive company. But we support these initiatives in the LGBT community, and today we have the employee network of Alianza, just the same way that Luigi was sharing their employee networks. We have our LGBT Alianza network, And we have more than 400 employees. We launched this last year. It's been a huge effort in getting it because the employees that we have in Mexico range from all classes and levels of income, right? From sellers in our stores and drivers and people just starting their careers to top executives, more than 18,000 folks. So this is our first effort, and we're getting there. We just started. We have 400 active members, and our idea is to grow with as many members, right? They don't have to be gay or lesbian or transgender to be a part of these groups, right? Anybody has a family member, somebody that they know, and so you can participate in those activities in order to get to where you want to get, right? It is improve the causes that you care about outside the company and make sure that you have that inclusiveness inside your company, right? We use our newsletter to inform all of our employees on what we're doing, and we make sure that we are supporting the community as much as we can. So as you can see, we have different type of messaging, right? We use electronic, we use paper, we use town halls, all kinds of information around what we can do for our communities and for our employees and LGBT, right? We support transgender. One of the biggest things that we found last year, and right now we only have 5, 6 employees that have talked to us about changing their gender, right? And it's been a great exercise. I can tell you from the beginning, and I can share the name. The name of the employee is Alex, and she used to be Alexandra. Now she's Alex, and now he's a he. And Alex came to us, and it was a great learning experience for us as a team because we had to really educate every team member in Alex's group and then work with Alex through the entire process. And when we say that the laws in Mexico are pretty quick, within a month, Alex had documents and everything to move from being a female to a male, right? So it is a phenomenal way to start this and start the conversations, right? And what we've seen all across is great support from all of our employees on these causes, and we are going to continue to work on that. Like I said before, our customers are different, and they look different in many ways. They're diverse, right? And we want to make sure that we work with them like that we receive them, and we embrace them, and we enjoy them, and we have a very diverse, innovative company because diversity drives innovation. So we speak out for LGBT in our community, and we constantly do that. Not only through Pride Connection, we've sponsored all the LGBT Confex, and we are part and very active in the community with this. It is very important for us that people see AT&T the way we see it inside, right? So we go out there, and regardless of your preferences, the way you look, the way you feel, the way you are, right? We have a place for you in AT&T. That's been our motto since the day we got here. And it's very important that people understand it is not easy, right? It's hard work, right? You have to do this on a daily basis. It doesn't come to you that easy. And when you are discussing that with the community, we have to make sure that we have those policies and things around us. AT&T does have gender transition guidelines, and we will be able to share it with everybody. Once the call is over, we will share those details of the guidelines that we have regarding the transition of folks that are transgender and are moving from male to female, female to male. Okay. So we go to the next slide. I know you have a question here. Does your company participate in local and national pride events in the country where you're based? So you could say yes as an official sponsor. Employees participate officially. Employees participate unofficially. No, I'm not sure, or other. I'm going to fill out mine. But, you know, so, and you can see the numbers there. It's pretty much, yeah, yes as an official sponsor is one of the biggest ones that we can hear there, or that we can see. Okay, if we go to the next slide. These are some, you know, what you can see here is our participation in LGBT. And this is, we sponsor LGBT. I had a very nice talk in that event, and it was mainly about diversity. Not only LGBT, but diversity in general. We try to be in these events and make sure that our employees feel part of them. So we're always pushing our employees to participate. We give them time to be in the meetings. We give them time to embrace what they are seeing and feel, you know, it generates pride inside the company that we are an inclusive company that really participates in these things and then makes a huge effort, not because it's just the right thing to do. It's very good for our business, too. So it actually fulfills everything that we're trying to do. You know, being in a, you know, just to close and share with you all, is the fact of being an inclusive company makes me feel more comfortable. It motivates me because at the end of the day, you can be yourself 100% of the time. You do not have to pretend anymore for fear of being a child. And this is where the difference between tolerance and inclusion comes, right? We want people to be comfortable working in AT&T. We want people enjoying the situation all day long, right? We live and we spend way too much time at work to be or to have to pretend who we are or what we do and what our efforts need to be so that people look at us in a different way. You know, one of the things that, you know, St. Marshall says, our Chief Diversity Officer, she says, you do you, and we want people to be themselves. So, you know, clearly for AT&T is for us being ourselves and feeling proud of being ourselves, because then we're more productive and we enjoy our days even more. So that's, you know, the gist of my presentation today. Thank you so much for listening to us.
Great. Thank you so much, Luis. Appreciate that, and we appreciate AT&T's leadership in Mexico. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our fourth speaker, and that's Alberto PINO. Alberto is actually the founder of Dow's ERG for LGBT people and allies in Mexico. Their ERG is called GLAD. He is the consumerism value chain manager for Latin America at Dow, and he's also their GLAD Mexico and LATAM leader. And in 2016, Alberto was ranked 15th on the list of top 50 future LGBT leaders in the annual Outstanding Financial Times ranking. So we're excited to have you with us, Alberto. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. I really appreciate to be here. I'm so excited. So thank you for the opportunity, and thank you everybody in the line for listening to us. So basically, what we're going to talk today is how was our experience in Mexico with all these LGBT issues. And I want to start with a quote. I really think it's a very interesting quote and very Mexican one. What is said, do not ask what is seen. And basically, it's a quote that Juan Gabriel, one of our favorite singers, rest in peace, said when he was interviewed about if he was gay or not. So you could imagine to be gay in Mexico a few years ago, it was quite a story. Even though it was kind of obvious, it was very interesting that for this guy, a famous global guy, was still an issue to say openly, I'm gay. And basically, that's why we have a lot of job to do in Mexico, because we still have the situation, for example, when we have in the same year, separated only by months, one huge walk in Mexico City and in 120 cities of our country against LGBT. It was called the Frente Nacional por la Familia. It's something about walk because of walk for the families. And in the other side, we had a huge and intense last year when during May our President Enrique Peña Nieto presented an initiative to have in all the federal states the equality marriage. And it's something that is still on a fight because unfortunately we didn't win last year, but we're still fighting to have it federal. So in a country where you have like this polar, you have in one side a lot of advancement, just like my peers said in previous talks, and in the other side we have a lot of mindset that is against because of the religion in our topics. So basically we have a lot of job to do as companies to be factors to make our people think and to open the mindset to a more inclusive atmosphere in our communities. So I want to go very fast into this part about who we are. Maybe when you received the invitation and you saw Dow, you think, oh my God, what does Dow Chemical guys do? Well, we're a business-to-business company. We're in the chemical industry, of course. We have presence in so many countries, more than 180. And the most important is that we are all related about chemistry. And that chemistry is not around only the periodic elements of the table, on the periodic table. It's regarding the most important element, that is the human element. We do chemistry, but we cannot do chemistry without our people. That's why one of our core business and values is regarding our people. So we have a lot of ERG, now we're evolving to business resource groups, regarding different diversity aspects. We have, for example, one woman. Congratulations to all the women today in this day, by the way. We have African American, we have disability, we have Asian, we have Middle East. But the most numerous that we have right now is GLAD. We're more than 3,000 participants across the globe in 34 countries. So you could imagine we're a huge network. And the best part is that we are expanding every year. We have a lot of global efforts, for example, to expand to Asia, that now is one of the core areas that we want to expand. And to understand what we do in our company regarding LGBT inclusion, you have to understand which is our core. And basically what we have in our core is that we have three axes. We have first, that is how we're going to manage our relation with other companies, the external relation. That is basically our corporate reputation, how we're going to connect with other companies. For example, Pride Connection, that I'm going to talk to you about that later. Second is our own cultural change, how we're going to make an atmosphere, a work atmosphere, where everybody feels included and can develop a career. No matter if you're gay, if you're a lesbian, if you're a woman, if you're a man, if you're a Catholic or you're not. And third, how we're going to make practices and equitable policies to guarantee that everybody has the same rights. And basically what we want to do with all of this is to foster a safe, inclusive, and supportive working environment where everybody feels included. So maybe you could be thinking right now, okay, this is about Mexico. How we're going to create this awareness in a country when you have this contradiction of having a lot of culture against LGBT. So basically what I'm going to tell you right now that this was not an easy journey. We started this initiative in Latin America, in Mexico and Brazil at the same time in 2012. We started with only 3 employees with this network. Nowadays, almost 10% of our employees in Mexico is part of GLAD. And you're going to think, okay, how you achieve this? And basically we have 4 strategy pillars that we have right now. First and the most important, as I mentioned it before, is our people. How we're going to guarantee that we have a different mindset regarding LGBT? How we're going to guarantee that the language that we use in our daily basis is the correct? Well, the answer for all of this is information. We created a training that most of our employees are taking right now, since 4 years to now, where when you start learning about the proper vocabulary to address LGBT community. Because at the end of the day, guys, knowledge is power. And if you know the proper words, this is going to be less a stigma or something that is a mystery, and more something that is normal, just as drinking water every day. Other thing that was very important for us was the ally figure. You have to encourage a lot that figure in Mexico and in Latin America in general. In a macho country like ours, you have to have these alpha men that really accept the diversity as part of their daily job. Why? Because when you have these allies, women, men, talking about diversity is something very normal. it's going to be easier for the rest of your company to have and to permeate these values to all the different levels of the organization. Other thing that is very important for us was the relation with the government. We had a lot of lucky getting connected with COPRED. That is, sorry for the misspelling in the slide. That is basically the organization that we have in Mexico, part of the government, to fight against discrimination. Since 4 years ago, they invited us to an event to talk about our policies, to talk about our ERG lab at that moment, to know more about how we can address and how we can communicate with other companies to create a blog. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. And other thing that is very important is how you're going to make your company in Mexico to be integrated as a value chain of diversity. And basically, that's to have diversity as a business driver. Diversity is no longer something that you want to have. It's something that you have to have because you have to include everything in your office, because it's a matter of talent. It's a matter of include everybody regarding you have any sexual orientation. And other thing that is very important is how you're going to foster that atmosphere and going to expand to the community. And we have been doing a lot of efforts on that. For example, we're using our employees as multiplier factors. A very nice activity that we launched in Mexico 2 years ago, it was children education to elementary schools to go and talk about diversity. Obviously, we started talking not only in LGBT diversity, we talk about all kinds of diversity. And we do this with science because remember, we're a chemical company. So basically what we speak with the children, we talk about how the different elements of the periodic table, even though they are so different between each other, they can combine to create new and amazing things. So this is a really nice and cool way where using cartoons and some chemical experiments, the children can really understand that diversity means addition and means a culture and means knowledge and means to add things to make even bigger things. So this is something that was very useful for us. Other examples that I want to share with you, we're in Mexico, and I don't want to go with the cliche, but we are very social people. So we use a lot of social activities to connect with our people. Basically, when you have an employee resource group, it's all about affinity. It's all about connecting. So we use a lot of social activities to talk about how, for example, in a cocktail, in a drink, you have different elements. And when you mix all of them in the proper amounts, you're going to have a new flavor. And it's all about diversity. And in the same way you make it with a mixologist, you make it with people. When you mix the right people, you have great flavors. You have great results. That's what diversity is a win-win for our companies. Other thing that was very important for us is to connect with NGOs and with global initiatives just like Out and Equal that elevate our dialogue. For example, we did that with Human Rights Campaign. That was the host for one great event of a Human Rights Campaign 1.5 years ago when we had Chad Griffin talking about diversity and the case in the States. And the last December, we were very honored to host with JP Morgan, Pemex, and the USA Embassy their launching event of Equality MX in Mexico. Other thing that was very important for us was to go with the media, because if you don't communicate this thing, the effect that you are trying to cause is not going to have the enough echo. So you have to go to the media. You have to talk loud about what this is important. And one of the things that I want to talk with you to close this participation is Pride Connection. Nowadays, we have more than 26 companies joining us every month to talk about diversity in our companies. And the most important, this dialogue has been elevated to create even a summit. So last year we had our first summit with more than 45 companies attending. This year our goal is to go even higher. Actually, we're very honored that we're going to have Out and Equal joining us as part of this effort. And the most important, we're launching Pride Connection in other countries, Chile and Colombia, for example. And if you want to know more about us, please join our website of prideconnection.com, prideconnectionmexico.com, where you can learn more about our company networks. And the most important, you can join us for our next summit that is going to be in the World Trade Center in May 24. So basically, this is everything that I wanted to share with you. So sorry I was kind of running, but we're running out of time. I really want to end this participation really inviting you to join Out and Equal Summit next year. I had my first opportunity on October in Orlando, and I can guarantee you that this huge event can really help you to connect with your peers and with the companies that are working in your country, and it's going to give you the next network connection that you need to enable a better inclusive network in your country. Thank you very much for your time.
Great. Thank you so much, Alberto. That was great. A lot of information. We had so much good information from you and from our other speakers. It's almost overwhelming. I know we're almost out of time here. We've gotten some great questions in. We're not going to have enough time to get to all of them, but I do want to go through a couple questions, and then I promise we will share the remaining questions with our speakers, and we'll get answers for them, and we'll make them available, and we'll share all that with everyone on the call. So just to get to a couple questions, one from Samir. Samir is wondering, and I think this came up during Luigi's presentation, but it probably applies to anyone. Did you have any pushback from employees who might have issues with LGBT? That's in launching your programs.
This is Luigi. Of course. I mean, you will always face a little bit of rejection, if you want to call it that way. You know, you're trying to be diverse. You're trying to bring in a new set of, I would say, cultural aspects into the workplace. So that is expected as you are launching these ERG and these initiatives. I think we will never be able to, at some point, have a fully inclusive environment because people are entitled to an opinion, and you know they can choose to support it or not. But in the way that we are respectful of everybody's diversity in the workplace, I think we will all be able to work together and achieve more than what we do today. So, and that's why these campaigns and these pride connections and everything else that we talked about in the webinar help, because little by little people start understanding that it's not just about who's who and who does what, but it's just how do we become more diverse and accept our differences, and how that makes us bigger as persons.
Great. Thanks for that, Luigi. We have another question from John, and John is wondering, how do you assess membership in your ERGs? I guess kind of how do you evaluate it, both for LGBT and allies? Is there a percent that you're looking for, or a specific number that you're looking for, or a balance that you're looking for? And that can be to anyone.
Well, I have to say that numbers change, but in the experience that we have from Mexico, and I can bet that it's kind of global, we have approximately 80 to 20, 80% of allies, at least in our company, and 20% of LGBT. Obviously, I guess that can change based on the company, but at least at Dow, that's our numbers.
Great. Does anyone else, and since we're coming right up on the hour, we're not really going to have time for closing remarks unless any one of our panelists has one quick thing that they'd like to add of a few seconds. Otherwise, we'll wrap up here. Okay, great. Well, again, we had some other good questions. We'll answer them offline and follow up with people. I really want to thank all of our speakers, Horacio, Luigi, Luis, and Alberto. You were amazing. Some great information. You will all, all the participants, when you log off the webinar, there will be a quick survey. We'd love it if you'd fill that out. Our next town call is the Self-ID town call. That's on March 30th at 12 p.m. Pacific. Our next global webinar is our LGBT perspectives on India, and we know there are a lot of questions and interest in India, so please try to attend that one. That will be at 8:30 a.m. Pacific on May 10th. And finally, we hope that a lot of you can join us both at the Executive Forum in San Francisco, March 27th, 29th, and as Alberto said, at Summit in Philadelphia in October. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you on our next call. Thank you.